3 possessions. Crowley doing a pretty good job there. He's only had one himself, though. He's an underrated player, Ryan Crowley. We look at how many possessions his man has had, but he also is a star midfielder in his own right. He hasn't had the ball himself.
Second term underway. Sandlands, nice palm. Fyfe on the move, pumps it inside 50, just couldn't complete the deal with a mark from Ballantyne or Pavlich.
Well, he's been a star, Rampy. Thank goodness for their half-back line and their full-back line. Lynchy for the Sydney Swans. They've kept him in it so far.
He's really grown since being upgraded last year. Started last year as a rookie, and he sets this one up beautifully. McLean, Franklin, this'll work. Lance.
Oh, he shanked it.
Misses. And the crowd all got up as one.
Well, it was going to be a major finish to a great move by the Sydney Swans. Unfortunately, he had a lot of time to think about it. Probably overcooked it just a little bit.
Well, he did, and his opponent, Luke McFarlane, just dropped off the back thinking, oh, no. See a little bit of a smile from Ryan Crowley. But, yeah, that's a great build-up from Sydney off half-back, but got to finish those.
Fyfe caught by the legs. Umpire said that was above the knee, so not a trip. Now Chesky wide. McVeigh over his head. And we'll get a ball in. Just got a little bit too excited, perhaps, Nat Franklin.
First goal at the SCG as a Sydney Swan. He was just ready to flush that one straight through about 60 metres, but near broke the post.
He didn't kick one here last week against North Melbourne. Was held goalless by Scott Thompson. So it's still the duck that Lance Franklin has to break. Mundy tried to squeeze a handball through. McLean wrapped up. Good tackle, dragged down, and the umpire will be forced to ball it up. In fact, for Lance Franklin, Fremantle is the team that he has most difficulty kicking goals against. He's got the smallest number against Fremantle.
Well, that'd make him consistent with most forwards, I reckon. They're such a powerful defence. They've also dropped a spare back down there, sitting right underneath his feet at the present time.
Yeah, that's right. It makes it really hard. If they do get this clearance, they look to pull the trigger quickly. They're just going to go to where they're outnumbered. Here they go.
Free kick. Jetta plays on to advantage. Franklin puts it to the deck. Or kickable almost by his standards. Tried to be unselfish. Kennedy. And it works.
Did work. Or was it that dart pass to Buddy Franklin again, making something happen? Now, Kennedy, we know he's a goal-kicking midfielder, one of the elite midfielders in the competition. Hasn't kicked a goal this year, so I think he is another one of those players. Although his disposals hasn't dropped so far this season, he needs to impact the scoreboard.
Well, it's a great kick. I think we're underselling the kick. It was no doubt something they would have talked about when they gave themselves a little bit of 360 feedback throughout the week. Got to be team first and foremost, and that's exactly what he delivered.
And he gets the crowd into it all of a sudden. For the first time today, the Sydney Swans are in front.
So all of a sudden, Lynchy, the Swans are putting good execution together with good work rate, and it's starting to pay dividends on the scoreboard. Should have had a couple of goals. This one was a bit of a missed marking opportunity, but smart kick to the top.
Absolutely, and that's what I like from Jetta. He took on the pass, tried to hit Buddy. That didn't work, but just the quick ball movement, the short pass, ended up working in the end with a goal to Kennedy.
Back in the middle.
So it's Big Pav. He's pushed himself up for this ruck contest.
Yeah, no messing around now. He knew that he had to get back in. He's going to have to go again here. Umpire with a poor bounce, so they'll just toss it in the air. The umpires, Jeff Dalglish, Andrew Mitchell, Jacob Mollison today. And umpire Mollison tosses it up.
Hasn't done a lot of midfield work this year, Pav, but after that one for one.
And lace out as well around the body.
So Taberner gets his first chance here.
He could kick this.
Doesn't like his chances, puts it to that spot, 15 metres out. Ballantyne, Crowley, who's kicked a few goals this year despite doing some great tagging jobs. Shaw hacks it clear. Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Well, this will work superbly. Bird runs onto it. Franklin's on the run. Gets there in front of McFarlane. Went for the chest mark. McFarlane too good. Spur, the spear. Finds Johnson. They've got the runners on the open side. He just pokes it up. Dangerous.
Kick.
Hanbury. Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Kennedy.
Could go all the way.
Chesky. Shaw. Goes with the short. Franklin, one. Oh, he's almost thrown off. He tried to get the second grab. Might still work. Franklin tucked into the pocket. Spur comes at him. Half holds him. Franklin holds him off. Knocks it back to Bird. The cavalry arrives for Fremantle. They try and hold it in. Not successful. Bird got the kick away to McGlynn. Knocked away. Malcheski. Stand start. Bends it around. Misses.
The rule number one in AFL right now, Lynchy, is do not even think about trying to fake for a free kick. They are not going to pay them. Buddy's got buffeted a couple of times, but he was half looking for the free kick.
Yep.
Had another go at it out in the pocket. They're just not going to pay them.
But I like the way they're actually attacking Buddy with those passes now. I mean, he hasn't been able to mark the first two that have come at him, but their purpose, the way they're actually going inside 50 has changed since the first quarter, and no doubt very different to what we've seen in past weeks.
Oh, Hill turned Cunningham inside out. Rampy was wise to it. Derrick's not quite as dexterous as he would have liked to have been. Mayne tried to shovel it out. Neal jumped on. He throws it out. Crowd on this side of the ground saw it. The umpire blindsided. De Boer not the required 15, so Sandlands knocks it to the deck. Jack ducked his head, went through some traffic. Handballs backwards though. Teddy Richards. Shaw.
That was actually brilliant from Jack. He was about to release the 2-metre handball, read it that someone was going to ping his recipient, so then he held it and still got the ball back to Ted Richards.
Derricks. They've lifted in this second term, the Swans. In fact, from about the 20-minute mark of the opening term. High towards half forward. Good attack from Parker. Good second effort. Sutcliffe wrapped him up, took him out.
Let's have a look at Kieran Jack. Now, his immediate response is to give the first handball, but he sees he's about to get pinged. And that is the difference between an average midfielder and a top-quality one, being able to make harsh decisions under all sorts of pressure.
Derricks, he felt for Clark there. Hanbury dumped by Clark. Daniel Pearce, Nat Fyfe. Parker rolls it out. Kennedy with another clearance, a bounce pass.
You couldn't recognise this midfield work rate for the Sydney Swans to the one we saw last week. Lynchy, right
Absolutely.
now they're taking it up to the Dockers. They've tidied up their disposals a little bit.
Yep.
Still obviously very tight and could go either way, but they'd be thrilled with their work rate.
And yet it's unrecognisable offensively and defensively as well. Every time Fremantle get their hand on the ball, there's numbers all over them and this sort of tackling pressure.
Daniel Pearce got it from Mzungu, kicks it towards Pavlich on the wing. Mayne also flies. Ball hits the deck. Neal rolls it forward. A 2-on-2. Grundy gets there ahead of Tabiner. Beautiful play. Handball not so good. Richards left it behind. Fyfe brought down by Grundy. And the Swans should get out of this with a ball up.
Very lucky there. The pressure on the young player saw him unload it, but they got out of jail there in the finish, the Swans.
Umpire comes in a few metres to toss it in the air.
Oh, that's near below the knees.
Neal. Daniel Pearce didn't keep it in.
Fremantle, they're trailing. Just have a look at this, what I was talking about, the attack at the ball, and they're 34 disposals down for the game. And Zach Clark just hit his direct opponent there in Smith below the knees. We see that one a bit paid.
Yeah, no problems if you keep your feet and run into their legs, but if you roll into their legs on the way to the deck, you're in trouble. Fyfe bangs it to a good spot. Ballantyne might leap here. He used his body. Laidler dumps it. Now trouble. Ballantyne tried to shuffle it out. Laidler again. Rampy. Lewis Roberts-Thompson. No one to go too long. Jetta tried the clever knock on. Daniel Pearce feeds it back. Bang. Spur caught. Got it up just in time. Clancy Pearce. This game's gone up another gear. Malcheski feeds a handball out wide. He had Brandon Jack on the run. Daniel Pearce caught by the jumper. An enormous amount of time. De Boer crunched. This is finals like. The two teams that met in last year's prelim at Subi going head to head here. McGlynn dragged down. He can't bust it free. Bird waiting for it. They will get there inside 50. Malcheski wide. Franklin's on the move. Not quite. McFarlane right with him again. And Franklin searches for the try.
That was a try.
Gone. Gee, he was jumped on. That was unlucky.
But I think you were right to start with, Dwayne. He was looking for the boundary line, and that's what the umpire interpreted as well.
Sure, you're not allowed to just jump on a bloke's back, though.
No, there used to be an in the back.
Jumper, but
yeah,
that must have changed that rule.
They've changed a few over time. I'm not sure they've changed that one. Ballantyne pops the pass.
That's it. That was some of the best footy I've seen this year. 30 seconds of so much pressure, both sides getting involved. It deserved a better finish.
And this has been a good match-up too. Pavlich and Richards. Richards searches for the line. Pavlich helps him across.
You're right. The intensity's fantastic, but is the try. Just missed the mark. Good contest from McFarlane. Was it in the back?
He let him jump on a bloke.
I don't think he actually jumped on his back.
Clark stands up, bends it to full forward. Fyfe. And he's been jumped on and taken through for a behind.
For a majority of the season, we've seen this intensity from Fremantle, but we haven't seen it from the Sydney Swans. They've actually raised the bar even from quarter time. I think Ross Lyon will be a little frustrated and a little concerned that the way they're using the ball when they do actually get it, but they're well down on possessions for the game and only still going by foot at 57%.
Laidler hit Rampy on the run, and he hits Spur on the run. Zach Dawson.
Oh, he missed his hand.
Duffield. Johnson.
And they're hunting him too without the footy, Lynchy. They're 35 to 26 in tackles. So when they haven't got the footy, the Swans are on today.
Well, spot on. That's what we're talking about pre-game. That elite midfield that we've seen at the Sydney Swans for a decade. You know, back when you were playing as well, defensively they're so good. The defensive pressure is probably the #1 focus, and then the offense comes as everything else flows.
Sutcliffe. Splendid 40-metre pass to Johnson, and now he thought about going wide to Spur, ignored him. Straight down the middle, Pavlich.
Teddy Richards won't be too unhappy if Pavlich is getting most of his kicks across that half-forward line. Must be a bad footy out there.
That doesn't help their percentage at all.
I think fatigue's starting to
no doubt.
get a few of them. They've been running non-stop. Duffield runs non-stop, kicks it long. Sandilands, the big man, goes up, got hands to it. Malcheski front and centre. He read it, but then dropped it. Smith feeds it back. Trouble. Malcheski, Pike, not the normal man you want kicking it outside 50. Pearce. Caught. McLean wraps him up. Bird. The intensity is fantastic. Kennedy feeds it back. Parker. Lewis Roberts-Thompson keeps his feet, but there's no one long for him. Hands it up. Knocked out by Duffield. McVeigh looks up.
Empty goal square.
So Bird can roll it all the way home if he wants to. He goes back. He knows you can't kick that far. Now he has McLean on the run. Hits him. And he misses it. And it hits the deck. Still a chance. Roberts-Thompson caught down by Johnson. Sandilands, Neal all the way back, and Fremantle can reload. No one getting a chance to take a breath out there right now. No wonder they're spent.
And no one's getting a chance to steady on their kicks. They're missing targets time and time again.
So Sydney Swans ball. Pressure on the Sutcliffe kick. And Jetta, well, he's within range. We see him bomb these at this end from about 65 pre-game every time we come here. So he can kick this. Doesn't want to. Gee, that was clever. McVeigh.
I'm not sure who the defensive coach is in the Fremantle box, but Ross Lyon will be having a little chat to him about reinforcing a few principles at half-time. That was very loose checking. It was like everyone was back in the zone waiting for the shot at goal, and no awareness of free players in that forward 50 arc.
If you just joined us, the biggest lead of the afternoon to either side has been 7 points. So this kick is for the biggest lead of the afternoon, and that 7-point lead was a Fremantle lead in the opening term. And he squeezed that in by a coat of paint, and they lead by 2 goals.
Well, just what the skipper needed. A pretty solid goal under the gaze of the whole footy world, the Sydney Swans right now, and so the leaders will be under the microscope specifically. Would have been a lot of talking, and a lot of response was expected from everybody, and that's not the kick you want coming out of the half-back line. So all of a sudden now a few skill errors for the Dockers, starting to cost them on the scoreboard.
You said there's been some skill errors with both teams. The Sydney side have gone in 5 times. They've scored on 4 occasions, kicking 2 goals too, whereas at the other end, Freo 5 times they've gone in for just the 1 behind. So it's not working for Fremantle at this stage, and contested possessions also going in front of the Swans.
Yeah, this quarter in particular, that number, Lynchy, shows that they were really have taken it up another notch. 24-16 in one quarter. It's a big discrepancy.
And handball receives 21-14 for the game for this quarter as well. So they actually run into support as well.
Parker bounces it to half forward, but he missed his target. Sutcliffe. Bouncing ball, Rampy.
Jeez, he's been good today. He has been an absolute star today, Rampy.
Played 23 games last year as well, so he's risen as a player almost from nowhere in the last 18 months. Franklin tries the shrug. Bang! Oh, Jack rode that bump to perfection. The Shaw, not 15, forced to play on. Back to Jack, who spent it before he'd earned it. Jumped on, but not in the back, so the umpire will ball it up.
Well, he was playing like a human pinball there, just bouncing off players willy-nilly, executing the handball, though, once again under pressure.
Sandilands. Kennedy, the clearance specialist, almost gets it away. Probably can't count that one. 15 players around this ball. Neal tries to break free with it. Thrown out by Hanbury to Smith. Puts it back into the congestion. Neal to Sandilands. But open space. And it's all about the bounce. It bounces kindly for Bird. He's got a helper. Grundy, Fyfe too clever. Smothered the handball, and now Fremantle can reload. To
what a win by Fyfe.
All the way back instead. Johnson tries to shimmy on LRT. Couldn't sell him anything. High towards the outer side. Fyfe again.
Class act. Double foot jump straight up. Strong mark overhead.
Well, LRT has missed a lot of footy recently with injury. He's still turning like a major shipping container or thereabouts, something of that nature, but he's doing a good job on Michael Johnson right now.
He's always been a very important player for the structure of the Sydney Swans.
Long to the hot spot. Pav couldn't get there, and mark taken by Cunningham, who's been a goal scorer for the Swans this year on a couple of occasions. Didn't kick one last week, but 3 the week before against Adelaide. He finds McGlynn. Hanbury. Smith. Everybody can take a breath for a change. It's got Grundy long. Needs to be a good kick to hit him, and it clean misses him. Mundy.
Is that flat footy again?
Kick a ball by Pavlich's standards. He drives it long and just on the line, getting back with the fist away. Was Rampy again.
He needed to.
He's been everywhere.
He was flying back. He has been very good. Had 13 disposals, but he needed to get back for that one. Really poor kick out of defensive 50.
To himself.
It's a better kick.
Kennedy. Good composure there after dropping it. Hanbury on the run. Franklin. One-on-one with McFarlane again. McFarlane gives him a free this time. McGlynn thought about playing on.
Put his hand up, which was the right thing to do.
Franklin wants to bang it. Tough ball for LRT. Hard bounce to Reid. Dawson. Johnson. Daniel Pearce. Pavlich. Pearce made it impossible for him. Richards half hurl, play for it, won it.
Just didn't give his forward a chance at all. That kick off half back.
Keep your eye on Buddy Franklin, Lynchy. You played in his position for many years, but at the moment he's leading and then almost stopping, waiting for McFarlane to catch up rather than going through with a lead.
Fyfe, good pluck. Franklin stayed down there, which was a surprise.
Doesn't go up too often, Dwayne, in those big contests, but I think he's a little bit intimidated because McFarlane's got him for pace.
And McFarlane can take a good mark, and that would have taken McFarlane to that contest. Still alive here for the Swans at half forward. Smith dumped into the deck. Jack. Missed Laidler. Forced to go and get it. Franklin wants the left, you know that. Handballs it back. Grundy. So Cunningham can get and go. Nice release kick to give him space. Shaw. They've found their mojo, the Swans. 11-point margin. Smith. Coming off a horror show here against North Melbourne last week, the Sydney Swans. Haven't won a game here at the SCG yet this year. Cunningham. Only won one game for the season, of course, and that was against the Crows in Adelaide. Jetta. Inside 50, Bird. Fingertips, Sutcliffe. Muzungu, Mundy. Again, the congestion, doesn't know where to go. Rolls it wide, ball in.
Jetta just overcooked that kick a little bit, but the work rate to actually get to the mark was outstanding. He'd run an enormous amount of distance, pumping out the 2 and 3 lead. So the work rate, again, was a great sign from the Swans' point of view that Jetta's getting on his bike.
Derrick's almost with the palm down. Duffield. Handball smothered. Jetta couldn't quite make something out of nothing there. Daniel Pearce, but it's dangerous. Brandon Jack hands it up. Malcheski into the roadblock. Grundy. Cunningham. Richards. Now Laidler can get and go. Shaw, likewise, can run. He's got Franklin short, and he decides to hold it up. Franklin should lead into the space. Does, held up.
You've got to have Pike come forward too, because he's the one that can take the big mark in a pack.
And he's the one that can draw the ball long. So Buddy's not your sort of top of the goal square sort of operator. He just tried to get every metre out of that one. I think he's going to back himself to tee this one up.
Wind around on the left here and bring the house down. This would bring the crowd to life. He knows how big this moment is. Yet to kick one at the SCG. We're 21 minutes into the second term. Half-time's looming. And this is his biggest moment in a Swans jumper yet. Opens up the angle. Strikes it well. It's not long enough. To the square. Thumped away. And that's that kick that Alistair Lynch was talking about. You either go 15 metres out from goal, because if you go to the goal line, it gets knocked through with ease, and it's the other team's ball.
Ooh.
Spur. Again, not a lot to go to. He was bumped after the kick, the umpire said.
Just marginally late, and there's a real let-off for Freo that looked like that could have been turned over again.
Fyfe to Neal. Now he's got Mayne just off the bench. Mayne, he can stroll in and kick it. From 50, went for the pass option. He must be rusty. Must have sat down for a while. Jetta on the run. Swans on the reload. Jack does the step. Shrugs Dawson onto the left. Puts it long. McGlynn territory knocked away. He kept his feet. Can he keep it alive? No. Content to see it out.
Jeez, he's a hard worker, McGlynn. Ben McGlynn, what a pickup he has been. Got him from the Hawks. Been a star. Missed out on their premiership. One of the really unfortunate elements of that victory, but his work rate, Lynchy, is top class.
Yeah, one of the real leaders in the midfield as far as his work rate's concerned.
Hanbury flicks it up. Shrug from Cunningham works. Kennedy caught by the ear. That'll be a free.
In fact, if you don't work really hard in the midfield at Sydney, you just don't get in.
And what does Kennedy want to do? Franklin's at the top of the square. He puts it in his direction. Pike's down there as well. Pike got a hand on it. Bird off hands. Part of the seas. Lewis Roberts-Thompson nails a big one.
And now they're getting a bit of spread on the scoreboard, which justifies their extra work. At the moment, they've had the ball inside their forward 50 about 67% of the time. This quarter, they've worked the hardest for mine, Lynchy, in this term, and they've tidied up their skills. Their work rate was really good in the first quarter, the Swans, and this is a better rate. You can read that, you can understand that, you know where the ball's coming. All they needed was a contest, get it to the ground, they get the goal.
Certainly a very handy player, LRT, and it was a bit of crumbing work there, but I don't mind him going long to the top of the goal square if it's Mike Pike, because he makes a strong contest. We saw in recent years he was one of the more dominant forward 50 contested mark players in the comp. So you can go to him, and once the ball hits the ground at ground level, the crumbing forwards come into their own.
Swans have kicked the last 4 goals of this game, and they are hot right now. Parker, McVeigh wobbles one past LRT. Pike from the goal square goes off the deck.
Not too much.
Still the biggest lead of the game.
just under siege, Uluru at the moment. 10 scoring shots to 6. And this quarter, inside 50s, 11-8 in favour of the Swans.
Sandilands got hands on it, couldn't bring it down. Pavlich comes back to half, back to lend a hand. His man Richards got it, throws it away. 1 minute 45 left to half time, and it's been the Sydney Swans quarter. Fremantle has not kicked a goal in this term. Derricks has done well against Sandilands so far. Pavlich locks it up with his legs. McGlynn extracts it. They're jumped on. These two teams met twice last year for a Fremantle victory and a Fremantle moral victory. Fremantle by 25 points in the prelim, and they came from 27 down to draw here in the corresponding game last year.
So much better at stoppages in this term, the Swans. Wasn't a great kick.
Over Cook's Pike. McFarlane. So the Dockers are going to have to come from behind here at half-time again, as they did last year, to level the scores on the siren. Franklin having a sit down, and you think that's where it'll stay for the last 1 minute and 14.
Baz, I've noticed the Dockers seem to be holding a player back when the opposition is shooting for goal, and they're running him on to give that extra player running into space when they get a clearance from their kick-ins.
Yeah, it's not a bad tactic, because most players, they set up the zone and probably switch off a little bit. If you give that quick break and that guy comes off the bench, it's a pretty good tactic.
McVeigh to goal. Just thumped through. Lucky.
Spot on there, Jared. We're seeing more and more of that.
Yeah.
Players interchanging when there's a shot at goal, so for behind. I'm sure they're not running straight on the ground, and they're just running into the space when
turnover! Can you believe it? With 50 seconds left, straight to McGlynn.
Ooh.
Taking the game on from fullback with less than a minute to go, when the Swans have all the momentum.
The coach's Vox vision will be interesting, I would have thought. And as the discussion might be at half-time, that is a costly turnover.
And McGlynn knows how important this is. He's already kicked one. Having another outstanding day at his office. He pulls it a little. He pulls it too much.
He just chipped that one.
He did.
Just absolutely chipped it.
It's the only thing he's done wrong today, though. And Johnson needs to be a little bit careful. They're crossing the line when he kicks out. He's like a fast bowler. He's taking it just that little bit too close.
When there's
no gain.
No need.
Well, really would have